Week 8 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few kickers I have as sleepers this week. The first guy, Greg Joseph of the Minnesota Vikings. So right here, Greg Joseph, a guy forgotten about after having a great season last year. This year, to be honest, it's been a struggle here for Joseph. A lot of ball games where he's missed some field goals, even though they weren't the easiest of ones. And even a game or two where he missed an extra point. But right here, he's on a high-powered offense over there in Minnesota. We know he's capable of putting up good fantasy points. And maybe this week here after a bye week, he got some of the kinks out, had some rest, and he's ready to go here. So the last few games for Joseph before the bye. Week 4 at the Saints, 18. Week 5 versus the Bears, 3. And Week 6 at Miami, 4. So right here, decent matchup versus Arizona. Back home for the Minnesota Vikings. 12th most fantasy points to kickers on the season. So right here, Joseph available right now in 82% of fantasy leagues. And I have him as a sleeper this week at kicker. The next guy, Greg Zuerlein of the New York Jets. So he's a guy I've been mentioning a lot over the last couple weeks here. Is Greg the leg as an option? I know the last few seasons has definitely been a struggle for him with the Dallas Cowboys. But right here with this New York Jet team, he's getting opportunities. And he's putting it through the uprights and making the most of it. Is Greg the leg. So the last few games here for him, Week 5 versus Miami, 8. Week 6 at Green Bay, 9. And Week 7 at Denver, 12. So right here, a good matchup on paper versus a bend but don't break type of defense in the Patriots. I give up the 7th most fantasy points to kickers on the season. So obviously this is going to be a tight ball game. AFC East matchup, it's always a good one for the most part. And this Patriot team's obviously not the same Patriot team it was Tom Brady years, even a year ago. This team's been struggling, and I think this Jet team could get in the red zone, but this Jet offense is an offense that don't finish a lot of drives. So this week here, I think Greg the Leg has a good one once again. He's available still in 82% of fantasy leagues. And the third and final kicker I have is a sleeper this week. Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. So Jake Elliott on a high-powered offense, the best team in pro football right now with the Eagles, 6-0. I know he hasn't had great games, only one double-digit fantasy game this season here is Elliott, but a good matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers that obviously they're bend but don't break type of defense where a lot of teams do have to settle for field goals. And in this one here, I think the Eagles are still going to get their share of touchdowns, 2 or 3 in this one, but I think a few field goals will be on the horizon, and they do give up the 15th most fantasy points to kickers on the season. So right now, Elliott available in tons of leagues as well in 74%, and I got him as a sleeper this week. So that's a few kickers I have as sleepers here for Week 8 of the fantasy football season.